This episode of Cognitive Dissonance is brought to you by AdamandEve.com. Just go to AdamandEve.com and type in Glory. That's Glory at checkout, and you'll get 50% off almost any item, a free sex swing, and free shipping.
Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago, this is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. And there's also significantly less sex toys in the studio than there were.
Yeah.
And that's because we just got done giving away a bunch of stuff on our live stream. If you guys haven't checked out one of our live streams, keep your eyes peeled on social media. We go live, whenever we get an opportunity to do it. Sometimes we do it when we're doing a record. Sometimes we'll do a whole special episode. And we're live on like every fucking available social media outlet.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. And some of our folks just won t-shirts. Some of our listeners just won
sex toys,
butt plugs. So,
pocket
I
pussies.
guess the t-shirt with enough lube and determination could be a butt plug.
DVD sex movies,
right?
I don't even know how that works anymore.
They're like weird sex coasters. Like that's you put your.
How do you minimize that browser?
You throw a shoe at the TV. Don't come in here. I'm in here. You just have like a rope tied to the TV, just pull it real fast and smash it.
And then you have your knife so you can just kill yourself.
And people are like, why did I just have the remote? Like,
why did I just turn it off?
Let's be honest, it's in your left hand anyway, so you can fast forward to the good stuff. You're like, no. If I want a foreplay, I wouldn't be watching this movie.
It's the worst because when you fast forward on a DVD, you're just like, oh, fuck, it went over. I want to see that. They're having brunch now. I wanted to see the money shot.
I always skip to cuddling. What the fuck? Jesus Christ.
Oh, man. Later on in the show, we are going to have Thomas Smith join us, who is a friend of the show, who's been on the show many, many times, does a wonderful show called Comedy Shoe Shine. So he'll be back. He'll be on later on to check him out.
Vote or die, motherfucker, vote or die. Rock the vote or else I'm gonna stick a knife through your eye. Democracy is founded on one simple rule. Get out there and vote or I will kill you. Yeah, I like it when you vote, bitch. Shake them titties when you vote, bitch.
All right, this story's from Right Wing Watch. This is Josh Berenstein the Bear. I want to make it harder for people to vote. So that's out loud.
All right, let's listen to this.
I'll go ahead and say that.
This is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
All I can say is, and I'll go on record saying it, I want to make it harder for people to vote.
Yeah. Okay, just so that wasn't like out of context or anything.
Yeah, just Right Wing Watch. It's just like, hold on, slow down. I was typing this out.
Transcribe. Yeah, that's always good for a democracy. That's
I mean,
awesome.
they did get the quote right here.
Yeah.
They did get the quote right. I want to make it harder for people to vote. He did get the quote right.
That's right. I said it. I'm proud of saying it. And I have no problem with Right Wing Watch doing an article saying Josh Bernstein says he wants to make it harder for people to vote.
I really want to pause real quick. Right Wing Watch doesn't really write articles, right? Right Wing Watch just quotes you.
Yeah.
Saying stuff.
Yeah.
Like that really is what Right Wing Watch does. And they're all like, I love all the pushback against Right Wing Watch. Well, Right Wing Watch is going to quote me on this.
Yeah.
I mean, you recorded it.
You did say it out loud.
Right.
You did say it out loud near a recording device.
They're not in your house.
Because he's not talking into a recording device. He's clearly around it somewhere.
I'm just going to go ahead and record this.
This was recorded by the NSA off his cell phone in his pocket. That's what happened here.
These guys always behave like Right Wing Watch is like being intrusive to their privacy about the things that they publicly say
no
and that are directly quoted on.
Yeah.
If illegal aliens are to be able to vote in this country, you're damn right I want to make it harder.
But they don't
can't.
vote.
Nobody is suggesting that. Literally nobody is suggesting that illegal aliens be given the vote.
Yeah.
Voting is a citizen's right. That's it.
Yeah.
Unless you're a citizen, you don't get to vote. Green card, you don't get to vote.
I do think that we should be opening our borders to certain people that are seeking refuge, right, from other countries, and they should have a path to citizenship. I do think that we should be opening our borders for people who are properly vetted from all places, not just selectively taking from, the one place, the place where we really like. We're like, oh, Europeans, really great. But Mexico's not. I think we should be opening and having a more fair process there. But yeah, I mean, I don't think a person who's illegal should vote. Like, I don't think a person who's here undocumented should vote.
But literally nobody is even suggesting that. I've never heard a single, nobody's even suggesting that documented immigrants be given the vote. It's citizens only.
Yeah.
Until you are a citizen.
Yeah, naturalized. Yeah.
Nobody gets to vote.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
And literally, I've never heard a single person make an argument where it's like, well, we should give green card holders or student visa holders. These are supposed to be documented immigrants.
Yeah.
Nobody's suggesting they get the vote.
Yeah.
It's like, what do they, I mean this, what do they honestly think is happening?
I don't know.
How would you even effectively, if you voted, think about that process. You showed up and you said your name to someone. And then they checked a list of people who had registered to vote within that district. And then they find your name or they don't. And if they find your name, you sign a thing and they hand you your ballot. Yeah. So let's imagine you're an illegal immigrant. Well, you didn't register to vote. You could not have registered to vote. So the end of that process has occurred.
Yeah. And if you go in and you go to vote and your name has already been chosen, now there's a problem, right? Now, if somebody's already come in and said they're you, now there's a problem.
Right.
They don't get a bunch of freebie spots. They're not it's not like a bingo card where you get a free spot where you're just well, this is going to be my undocumented vote. And then the rest of them we can fill in.
All right. But I have an important question. Do you land on free parking? Do you get cash?
Do you get, yeah.
Is there a prize when you play Monopoly for landing on free parking?
I will say, or for me?
Yeah. Do you slide a little bit under
you land on free parking? Is that for me, it was when you landed on the actual starting place.
Okay.
If you landed on that, you got $200 extra.
That's in the game. That's in the rules.
Okay.
But some people play Monopoly where free parking has like a secret cash stash underneath it. And if you land on it, you get the cash stash.
Yeah. Well, that would be all the fines or whatever that anybody put in.
That's what you do with the fines.
That's what you do with the money.
Okay.
You put it in free parking, and then if you land on free parking, then you get the fines. You get the fines.
So it doesn't go back to the bank.
Which is not how it works in real life, by the way. I am not allowed at the courthouse anymore.
So maybe voting is like that. If you're an illegal immigrant and you land in the right space, then you get a certain number of
you don't get fucking dragged off in cuffs by ICE and thrown in the deportation center in fucking Bridgeview.
What we should have is one out of 36 districts has a free parking unannounced to make it fair.
Yeah, right.
Where illegal immigrants can show up to vote. But if they get it wrong, their families are deported.
They get it wrong. There's just some guy standing next, and he's sweating bullets. He's trying to vote. He's sweating bullets, and then he hits the wrong one. And there's a person with a trombone womp womp.
All right, everybody who doesn't get bingo gets executed. Let's play bingo. Nobody would show up to play bingo. That's the other thing. It's the stakes for illegal voting
are so
high, and the reward is zero.
So I know the reward is literally nobody wants me here. I don't care which side I pick. Nobody wants me here.
It's not like if I vote, I just got to pick who my leader was.
Yeah.
Right? We all understand that how futile voting feels.
Sure. Yeah.
So imagine how futile voting feels and how it doesn't seem like it matters. It doesn't seem like it matters so much that most people don't do it.
Yeah.
That can do it.
Yeah.
So imagine if it's it barely matters at all, or at least it feels like that. And there's no intrinsic reward, but also, and there's really no extrinsic reward at most of the time. But also, if you do it illegal, you go to jail and your family, The stakes are so high for something with no payoff.
And I don't mean to alarm you, but as you're voting, don't look up because there's a sword dangling off your head.
That's so crazy.
16-year-old little nitwits that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground are going to be able to vote and cancel out.
We've 16. Now you can vote under 18 in this world.
I think that's what he's saying. I think he's trying to like say, I don't want 16-year-olds either, is what he's trying to say. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of arbitrary when we talk about voting, whether or not you're 16 or you're 18. I think that's arbitrary. We decided to, throw a dart and be like, it's 18.
Well, that 18 is arbitrary across the board, right? Like, it's literally nothing that differentiates 17 and 19 from
nothing.
18.
Yeah.
There's that is a standard for which there is no evidence.
It's a dart we threw.
Yeah,
it's a dart we threw.
Yeah.
Out my well-informed vote, you're damn right I want to make it harder for them to vote. I want to raise the voting age to 30. How's that? Maybe even...
Hey, you know what did that? Stamps. That's what did it.
That was great.
That's what did it for us. That's what did it for us. There's already a fucking barrier for everybody under 30 to vote, and it's called anxiety. Oh, Jesus Christ. If you don't know what we're talking about, you might not. Because it might not. It might be a joke that might be going over your head. We recorded with the Citation Needed crew a 12 reasons why millennials didn't vote in the last election. It's free for people who donated to Vulgarity for Charity. And we put it on the Patreon for Citation Needed. It's free. And it's us reading through these 12 reasons. And one of the most cited reasons was anxiety about mailing things. I'm not even kidding. Like, anxiety about mailing something was the most, I would say, the most stated. Now, there was others that were like, it doesn't really matter, or I have ADHD and I like my pot, but I don't care about anything else. Like, I mean, if you listen to it, it's the whiniest. Like, you want to slap every person that's ever written. And these were written down also, by the way, written down responses. They didn't just like interview somebody. These were written down. They're not transcribed.
Which is distressing.
Yeah. Very distressing. If you get a chance, listen to it though. But that's the main reason, was that people were saying, I have this anxiety. I don't want to vote. Well, yeah. And I mean, I know it's a joke and I know we laughed about it, but really genuinely, people under 30, there is already a mechanism.
Yeah.
And it's that they have some social anxiety about voting. They don't, some of these people felt like when they went into the voting area, they felt like, I don't know what to do. I've never done it before, so I don't know what to do, and I don't want to look stupid. And you're like, well, you just buck up, buddy. Like, there's going to be a person there. They're going to tell you what to do. It's okay. I don't know what to do when I go to the DMV either.
Look, nobody knows what to do the first time to go to Coachella, but they still sell it out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's such bullshit, because, like, I guarantee you know what to do for the things that you want to do. Yeah. I guarantee that
or you figure it out.
Right. You just, like, that only works when it's like, feels like a chore. And so, like, if it feels like a chore, then it's like, I don't want to do it. Yeah. It's like, but yeah, like, I guarantee, like, the first time somebody gave you a blowjob, you figure out how to undo your pants. You know what I mean? You fucking figure shit out for the rewards that you want.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we talked about it on this show a couple times. Millennials, the largest voting bloc. Yeah. Millennials, the largest voting bloc. So I don't want to hear about, like, the reason why we lost was because of disaffected voters. It's like, get affected.
Yeah.
Get fucking affected, because you know what you got? You got 3 goddamn Supreme Court justices that they will be out of there when you are a boomer. When you are dying, they will then finally be out of there. That's what you got. You got 3 justices you're never getting rid of because you were disaffected. Get affected.
In 35, I want to eliminate early voting 100%.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck is this guy? Is just like, I only want my vote to count. I decide what happens. That's it.
That's it. Bears wearing hats are the only ones that get a vote. Bears wearing hats.
What an asshole. Oh, Jesus.
I want to punch everybody who shows up to the polls right in the dick. And you have to have a dick to show up to the polls.
I want to see that you pay taxes on your land before you have to take this literacy test.
get rid of it completely, other than maybe 3 days. 3 days for the military and for people that are, not well and that are ill, and for the elderly over 65. They can have 3 days. Everybody else, there's no reason why you can't get out there and vote. And I don't...
Wait, are you talking about like early voting? Early voting is like actually, I think the more we start to do early voting, the better off it's going to be for this country, because you just open it up. Because I know when we talked before, this was before when you had a really shitty job. Like, so you used to have a really shitty job, and you and I were talking about how tough it is. Like, I was saying, I'm going to go vote tomorrow. And you're like, I don't know that I'm going to get a chance because you had so much to do. And I was like, you can just tell your boss. And you're like, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
No,
really.
you can't.
No.
And you really can't.
No. Yeah, you really I could not. I mean, I did make it to vote, but like, I could not in the real world have said, I'm unavailable for a few hours. Like, my boss could not have said no, but my boss could have said, like, great, that's a guy that sometimes is unavailable.
Yeah.
I'll find a guy who's always available. And I had a pretty good job, but I had a very high demand job. And there's a lot of people with really replaceable jobs, like where it's like real easy to find a new labor unit to slide into your
high
job.
demand and replaceable is bad.
And they can't fire you for that. But the other thing is that most states, they don't have to give you a reason why they fire you.
Yeah.
So like, if you don't have to provide a reason why you let someone go, then you just say like, oh, okay, yeah, welcome back. And then 2 days later, you say, we've decided to let you go. Turn in your badge. And then, why'd you let me go? It's a business decision that we've made. Yeah. The end. That's it.
Yeah.
And then they're gone, and then they just replace you.
Sure.
So like anybody who has that sort of like workforce fear or workforce anxiety, they're not pushing the envelope. They're not asking for time.
Yeah.
Want a voting day, because if you have a voting day, you're going to have every single welfare slut and their babies out there, giving.
Jesus.
Babies can't vote. Come on now. You actually have to trade the baby in to vote. That's how it works. You stick them in a machine.
Stuffing them in the ballot. Just like, God, you don't fucking fit.
They're like, turn it around. You got to go the other way. You got to put feet first.
Oh my God, my ballot is breached.
It's feet first so they could scream out the vote when they go in.
I don't want early voting, and I don't want a voting day.
Yeah, and I don't want welfare sluts to vote either.
He just doesn't want any voting to happen.
What he doesn't want is people he doesn't like to vote.
Yep.
That's what he doesn't want. A voting day, here's the thing. A welfare person's already got a voting day. It's called they don't work. So they don't need to call anybody or do anything. They were already, if they were going to vote, they were going to vote, period. They were just going to vote because they had the whole day off.
Yeah. But I think it's the case that most people on welfare actually do work.
I don't know that he believes that.
That's true. He certainly does not.
I don't know that he believes that. And that's a very good point, Tom. Yeah, absolutely. I'll acquiesce to the point, but I don't know that he believes that. Right. I'm sort of trying to approach it from his angle, from a fucking bigoted, shitty angle. I had to get a lobotomy just to even think like him. But yeah, you're right. They do work. So if they do work, then, that chances are that they would need a voting day. They might not be a chance for you to vote, or, during that time, you might not have an opportunity. The polling places are not open indefinitely. So, there's a possibility that you would also be polling welfare and not have an opportunity to vote. That's why it would be amazing to have one.
It's just 100% true that the more people vote, the more numbers of people vote, the better representative of America that
makes sense.
So like any attempt to like reduce the number of people that vote is you're saying out loud, I want a system governed by the right people.
I want a majority. I want a tyranny of the voting class. Right. That's what I want. And it's the voting class because there's a new class of people.
Right. I don't want a representative democracy.
No.
What I want is to elect a czar by an oligarch.
Yeah. That's exactly it, right? Because what's going to fuel that in this case is you're going to have a job, because, the way he's talking about it, you're going to have a job. You're going to have to be over 30, successful enough, and, to be able to handle all that stuff. And, he's talking about cutting away all the early voting mostly. Military people he's given a pass. I wonder what he feels like about voting through the mail. Like, because there's
I bet he does
like
not
absentee
like
ballots. Yeah. Well, although he's got to kind of like it because doesn't the military do that all the time?
The military's a special case for these guys. Like they would want a special mechanism for the military that doesn't
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, that doesn't fit.
And it's funny too, because like those absentee ballots oftentimes aren't counted till well after the votes are tabulated. And it's like the military votes, they vote oftentimes if you're deployed, your vote is going to be absentee. Yeah. And like that vote, like kind of is just like, oh,
we'll get to it.
Put it over there in the corner. We already figured it out.
These ones are already good.
Yeah. We got all the county ones. Like
all these different people in the streets, more and more money to go out and vote. And they're going to just spend all day voting and they won't work because they'll say, well, it's voting day.
How would you spend all day voting? If I have to spend all day voting, the voting system is broken.
Yeah.
We need more available polling places.
Yep.
Oh my God, the citizens are exercising their right to vote.
They're spending all day long doing this.
I love how like the rights that are enshrined in the Constitution are super important if you get a gun out of it.
Yeah.
Right? But if a brown guy gets a vote, or a poor person chooses like who they want to represent them, then all of a sudden it's like, well, we should really change the laws. Yeah. Where the white guy doesn't have a gun and the brown people pick the laws. We got to change
Definitely
that.
don't want that.
I'm not an originalist all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe I am actually.
I'm only an originalist if I can skip some of these.
I'll keep the law when I pull it. I pull it out of the hat and it's not a practice.
I'll keep all the amendments too that way.
If it's not that important to you and you can't get there somehow in that day, then I don't want you to be voting anyway. How's that?
Exactly,
I'll go on record saying
not that
I want less people voting in this country. Less, not more.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing about that clip that we just played. There are a lot of people who think this. And I'll tell you how I know they think this. They think this because of the way in which they create voting laws and they restrict voting rights and they gerrymander. And I will tell you right now, you don't have to hear your Republican leaders say this out loud to know that that's what they really think.
Yep.
You don't need it. You don't need to hear their Josh Berenstein confession tape of them saying, I want less voters. They think what he thinks by the laws that they pass.
The TV said you're 58% more likely to shoot a family member than an intruder.
TV said that? But I have to have a gun. It's in the Constitution.
Dad, the Second Amendment is just a remnant from Revolutionary days. It has no meaning today.
If I didn't have this gun, the King of England could just walk in here anytime he wants and start shoving you around. You want that? Huh? Do you?
No.
All right, then.
All right, this story comes from CNN. This Colorado sheriff is willing to go to jail rather than enforce a proposed gun law. What the proposed gun law is in Colorado, and there's several states that are considering similar propositions, is a law that would basically say, look, if somebody is identified as being dangerous to themselves or other people, then there's an emergency measure that can be taken by family or law enforcement to remove their guns from that person temporarily.
To petition a judge.
Yes.
Yeah. So the judge would have to be the one who would be, it's not like I could just be like, I would, you have to, there's a deciding factor.
It's like getting a restraining order. Yeah. Like you have to petition, you have to present some evidence. The evidence is preponderance. That's the standard. It's not a standard of, beyond a reasonable doubt. Yes. Thank you. And then if they say there's a preponderance of the evidence says that you shouldn't have these guns, temporarily, your guns are removed from you until either a certain amount of time passes or there's another process by which you can challenge that rule, right? That's the most rational.
I've never heard anything more rational.
Like reasonable thing. Like Tom seems not okay. Here's why I want it. Like I want it selfishly, right? Because I know that like my brain is made of meat.
Yeah.
And I know that like personally, like there's nothing that means that tomorrow I don't wake up with something wrong with my brain meat.
Yeah.
It happens to people all the time.
All the time.
So tomorrow I could wake up with something wrong with my brain meat. And maybe if I did and I wasn't acting well and I was a danger to myself or my family or my friends or my coworkers, the first thing I would want is for my family or the people that love and care about me to be able to say, holy shit, Tom's in danger. Tom needs help. Let's remove the things in our home that with an astonishing amount of accuracy and destructive power could render him dangerous to the world and to himself. I don't ever want to hurt anyone. I don't want to hurt myself because my brain meat gets weird for a minute. I want to not hurt people. I want to not hurt myself. I want the opportunity to get well if I get sick.
Yeah.
and I want the people around me to be able to take decisive action to protect me and to protect themselves from a dysfunction of my brain meat.
Sure.
That's like, why is that controversial?
I can't figure it out.
We should all want that just to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
From ourselves.
You know what's interesting? It doesn't stop you from being dangerous. Right? Like you can still be like, don't worry, Second Amendment people. You can still be dangerous without a gun. Right? You could still, if you're Tom or whatever, let's just use me, right? If you're me. And like in your scenario, I wake up one day and I am not well. Suddenly something clicks in me and I'm not well, right? Or let's say maybe I haven't been well my whole life. I've just been faking it really fucking well, right? For my whole life. And I'm not saying I'm well. Let me just start.
No one thinks you're well.
Nobody thought that anyway. But let's say I'm unwell. I can still maybe keep my wife at home and murder her with an implement in my house. I could still be dangerous. I could still get in my car and hurt somebody. I could still go buy a bunch of fucking fertilizer and diesel fuel and be fucking dangerous, right? But what this does is it opens up the chance that we might be able to see, because now suddenly you got your guns taken away.
Right.
Well, now maybe they're going to pay attention if you go to the fucking fertilizer store. Maybe somebody's going to be like, well, you sure got a lot of fertilizer here. Why are you packing it up in this Ryder truck? That seems weird.
All the evidence shows that, and there's a name for it, I can't remember what it is, but it basically says that, when you remove the implement that makes it easiest to hurt yourself, suicides go down. So, I think it was in India, I could be wrong, but I read an article about, a poison that was being used. There was a very easily available kind of industrial pesticide that was being used in a spate of suicides. And because it was so effective and because it was so readily available, lots of people were using it to commit suicide, and they made it illegal for consumers to just buy this poison.
Yeah.
And the total number of suicides fell. Now, what happens is there's a bit of a rebound effect as people who are really desperate find another way to hurt themselves, but it does not come back up to the previous level. The harder we make it to hurt ourselves and to hurt other people, the more time we buy. And time is the thing that means you're less likely to hurt yourself. You're going to come to your senses. You're going to get help. Somebody's going to notice.
Somebody's going to notice and help you help yourself. Yeah.
So getting rid of the ability for people to intervene on our behalf and notice we're not well and notice we're acting badly makes them safer and it makes us safer.
Yeah.
This should be the easiest thing. We're at a place though where there are counties across Colorado from this story that are calling themselves Second Amendment sanctuary cities.
Yeah, sanctuary counties, yeah.
Saying we've got the fucking dick of the Second Amendment so far down our fucking esophagus that we are unwilling to make even that concession to it. That a temporary, it's not even like they take your guns back and you never get them either.
Yeah, it's temporary.
You don't go to jail.
Yeah.
Your freedoms aren't curtailed. Nobody carves a scarlet letter A on your chest.
Yeah, right.
It's just for a little while, you don't have guns.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. The big scary thing is for a little while, if you go a little crazy or you're a violent dick, you don't get guns. And we're just at a place in America where we're like, oh, that's a little extreme, don't you think? Yeah. A little out there, liberals.
Yeah. They don't carve an A, they carve an AK-47. That's what they do. And they carve it right on your chest. And they pour a little bullets on the ground for your fallen homies. The people who will fall, actually.
Casings. Ting, 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 ting.
Yeah. So we are joined by someone who is very familiar with the Mueller report because of their podcast, the podcast that they do. They're a big part of that podcast. Some would say the best part of that podcast, Philosophers in Space.
Atheistically speaking.
And we have Thomas Smith on who's going to talk about his take on the Mueller report with us. Thomas, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you about the Mueller thing. I know what that is, but just remind me what.
Oh yeah, just refresh. It's a little known
I guarantee
story.
I know what you're talking about.
Hold on, let me just summarize it in 4 pages really quick. So,
Give me the 1 sentence summary of the 4-page summary of the Mueller report.
I'll just give you 1 period.
Isn't it
a period at the end of the sentence? God damn it.
Isn't it amazing that the attorney general, is this familiar with Cliff's Notes? You just think to get all the way through.
I was just going to say, I wonder if you got, maybe Tom can relate. I feel like, I don't know. I'm just reading you guys. I feel like Cecil's probably a good student. Tom probably, who knows? I don't know. I'm just
Tom was a better student than me.
What are you talking about?
I remember in English, high school English, I did not read a fucking word of the books that I was supposed to read. It was entirely
Tom is incredulous. His jaw is on the table right now.
Entirely just Spark Notes back in, that was kind of taken off when I was there. Yeah. And let me tell you, here's what I've learned about that. They don't fucking work. You can't summarize a 300-page book with 4 pages of Spark Notes. I'd know one thing, I'd know the name of the, it was Piggy who got killed with a stone, and but it would ask you questions give 4 examples of the, of the imagery relating to the, the Garden of Eden of the, and you're like, that wasn't in the fucking Sparks Notes, so I don't know.
That was in the book, though.
When I was in college.
I know the conch shell.
When I was in college, this was right when the internet was
invented by Al Gore.
Al Gore came to our university actually and did a science fair project. He had the 3 thing. No, but
3rd place.
But it was
so weird.
And he lost to George Bush right after. No, so this was back before then, but
they actually won, but they gave someone else the ribbon.
Well, no, I mean, I think
Supreme Court decided no, we're going to give it to the other guy. It's fine.
Yeah, we're going to give it to the volcano model that spits out a bunch of bullshit. I feel like that's the guarantee.
Oh, that's a baking soda volcano model that somehow produces so much CO2. It's like a ton of CO2. It's
that's like the number 1 winner of every science fair. It's like they have a reserve for the number 1 slot. Where's the volcano? We found it. Okay, you win.
You get it.
Put it next to the foam solar system. Put it by the foam solar system. Not in scale. Definitely not scale.
And then this person who starved a rat. All right, so I'm in college, and it's before internet is really popular and has good shit on it, right? Then it's all bulletin boards and not really great. But they did have books for philosophy, philosophy books. And I was trying to read Birth of the Clinic by Foucault for a class, and I literally could not make heads or tails of it because it's a continental philosophy school. So I've been reading Plato and Aristotle, and we get into Marx and some other stuff, but really any of the modern stuff, I never really read. And so this class is all on modern philosophy. I'm fucking lost. I'm so lost. I literally don't understand any of it. I'm reading it dozens of times, and I cannot parse it. And so I was frustrated. I just go to the Barnes and Noble, and I'm like, Foucault for Dummies. Let me try that. Didn't help a lick.
So you called up Bill Barr.
Didn't help a bit. It's the worst because it's also really, really hard to read. It's I don't know that I understand your step-by-step manual.
You're like, okay, I need dummy for dummies.
Yeah.
I need the prereqs.
Is there a better one?
Dummy for dummies. I think the problem is I don't understand the dummy part. Hold on. Explain that to me.
If Foucault was still alive, I'd fucking punch him in the nuts.
Dude, I'm going to come right out and say it. I'm not afraid to admit this. I tried to read an essay by Karl Marx, and I found it impossible. It's fucking unfucking readable. And I don't care, all you commies who think I'm stupid and you're smarter and you can understand it. I'm calling bullshit. It's unreadable. Have you ever tried to read? He's like the character on Mystery Men where everything that's up is down. Every single phrase is the opposite.
I had a class on Marx in the philosophy department that was taught on Marx. The teacher who taught it was busy writing a book on modern rock. And so he would come into class every day and he would talk about modern rock. And we literally never once spoke about anything we ever, we had to read the German Ideology, which was 100-page novella. And then other stuff in this Marx reader. But this Marx reader was it was crazy. And
it's impossible.
I was reading it and I was I didn't understand. I'd come in with with pages of questions, and he never answered a single question. And he talked about modern rock the entire time.
So-
I'm not even kidding. It was a waste of time, and I also didn't understand it.
This was before Rate My Teacher.
Oh yeah,
right?
Oh yeah,
So
before Rate My Professor.
shit like that.
Then -5.
Shit like that could go back then. Like shit like back when we were in school. Be
tenure.
like,
I wrote it on the thing. I wrote it on the review because they gave you the review, but it didn't matter.
I was gonna say, like, he gave you the review.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, I
Yeah,
didn't like
yeah.
this one, so I got that student marked absent today.
Professor's like, hey, time for the reviews. By the way, brought in some cupcakes for you guys while you filling those out. They always did that.
Yeah. I don't know
But
if they
I believe
did this
your question was about Mueller. To answer.
So anyway, so let's roll back to Mueller here. Let's talk about it. The report comes out. We don't get to see it. Barr summarizes 4 pages, says the president is really cool, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And that's all we got. And now the president got the report, and they are going to be giving us a redacted version, or giving Congress a redacted version.
They did walk that back. They walked back the part. There was so much pressure on the, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're going to give it to the White House and they're going to redact, that they actually, Barr walked it back and was like, oh, no, sorry, typo. I'm actually giving. So Barr is going to do the redacting and then give it to Congress, is the last I saw.
So his buddy is going to, like, the guy who gave him the job.
I know. I can't stop complaining about this particular thing. Apologies, but you guys know Glenn Greenwald, right?
Oh yeah. Twat
You know
that he
how
is.
he's skeptical of, he's super hyper skeptical of the government, everything, WikiLeaks, everything's whatever. And, he's right from time to time about certain things. And then the minute the Mueller report, by the way, Bob Mueller, Republican, the minute that report of a Republican president is not even out, but is summarized by a Republican partisan hack who on his own time, before he was put into his position, wrote, like, just, free time, what am I going to do? Maybe I'll write a 17-page memo about how presidents can't even obstruct justice and like all this shit, like just teacher's pet trying to get the job for Trump. The minute
that memo was his
fucking
resume,
guy,
actually, they put the wrong title at the top. That was the problem. It was really,
the minute that
resume.
fucking guy, Barr, a Republican, writes a 4-page summary of a report by a Republican on a Republican, Glenn Greenwald and a bunch of other people who are quote unquote like super lefties, but just love to shit on the left the entire time. They're like, oh, see, it was a hoax. It was a hoax.
But the problem is, and I think that the problem is with Taibbi too. I was reading Matt Taibbi, his Twitter and stuff. It's the I told you so's, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who said, oh, there probably won't be anything in it or whatever. One, they're forgetting about the 34 indictments that happened, right? They're forgetting about the 34 people that were indicted. They're forgetting about the 100+ indictments, the people very close to Trump that were caught lying to the FBI. They're forgetting about all those people. And they're saying, oh, well, there wasn't a giant pop at the end, so it doesn't really matter. Ah, ha, ha, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so.
I know. It's basically, I was thinking about, it's basically, you guys jumped to conclusions. Is the conclusion I'm jumping
that's exactly
to.
it. And you're just like, well, I jumped to conclusions in the sense that I was paying attention to all the people that got fucking run through by the report. Right. That's how it was fucking, I wasn't jumping to conclusions. Jumping to collusions is great. By the way, jumping to conclusions is amazing.
Title right
but I wasn't doing that. They had left stepping stones for me to do it. It's not that, and it's not that the media did it.
They had a fucking meeting and they all lied about what happened, and they changed their policy on Russia. In their foreign policy, and Trump is super friendly and weird about Vladimir Putin. Look, it may be, and I actually think this is likely. I've said this for a while. I never thought we were going to get like because Trump doesn't fucking email, for one. He's illiterate. So you're not going to find like written proof. I'm telling you, you're not going to find written proof of him fucking colluding. Yeah. You're not going to find, the best we could do probably was like, maybe you'd find a couple guys in the room who are like, yeah, he directed me, maybe. But like, I was never that optimistic. I didn't have my hopes set on Trump. He's, gave a hand job to Putin. And then that's what, like, that wasn't going to happen. But like all this weird shit went down and it was totally reasonable to maybe look into it like that, and what do you know? We found, 36 or 7 people worth indicting.
34 people indicted, over 100 indictments.
Yeah. Well, isn't it true? Hold on a minute. Let me hold you to that. Isn't it true we should only investigate things where the conclusion is foregone before the investigation?
There's no reason to
you're right.
I don't want to let you go easy on this point, Thomas. Isn't it the case that we should only investigate when the conclusion is known prior to the beginning of the investigation?
Yeah, I think that's how every single. I think that's how every.
Let's turn over to the lawyer on OA. Tell us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure every Sherlock Holmes book was that way. So he was like, somebody knows the end.
When I read a murder mystery, it's Tom did it, and then
you start there.
After the fact. That's the best.
God,
totally true.
It's the only way you know what. The only way you know what's true, though, is if you start at a conclusion and then you investigate backward from the conclusion.
It's almost like, so everything is intelligent design, is what you're saying. Every single thing.
Yeah.
Well, not our foreign policy.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
I imagine that Barr is more or less faithfully summarizing the broad conclusions of the report. Like, if you want to believe that he's just totally lying out his ass, it's, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I find it unlikely given that we're going to see the report.
Sure.
We're going to see the report. And that would be, for him to just lie out his ass, I don't think that would, be
I think
likely.
if he lied about the report outright, I think Mueller would go to the press.
Yeah.
Yes. And we could call him up, in front of Congress and all that. So I don't find that likely. But I think it's worth noting that while there was no smoking gun of like Trump Putin collusion directly, the fact is the report the 4-page summary said that the report does not exonerate Trump on the question of obstruction of justice. And like, it's amazing how much we allowed, and the media. Here's my theory on this. You got Republicans who are going to fucking Republican. They're just going to, Trump supporters are going to Trump support. That's what they're going to fucking do. It doesn't matter. There's no amount of hypocrisy, no amount of what, it doesn't matter. They're going to do that. And then the left, the problem with the left is you got like that super, there are people on the left who are so mad about Hillary having been the nominee that they think the Russia thing is some fantasy that the Hillary left invented in order to like say Russia stole the election or something.
I've encountered that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. And for me, it's a series of false dichotomies. Like those things, I do not believe, even if we find Trump-Russia collusion, which we might find some level of it. But even if we don't, we know that Russia tried to intervene, tried to affect the election. And we also can conclude that it probably didn't make much of a difference. But we can say that it's possible the hacking did, like the hacking, the exposing the DNC emails, that made a difference. And by the way, here's what we absolutely know made a difference. Trump hiding the fact that he had an affair and a payoff with Stormy Daniels.
Absolutely. And that wasn't even part of that report.
No, well, it's sort of related. I mean, it kind of got branched off, from it and referred to the Southern District in New York. But the point is, like, I don't need it to be true that Trump's election was invalid. Like, I'm perfectly, I hate it, but I'm perfectly aware of the fact that half the country fucking sucks. Like, I'm not, that doesn't, you know what I mean? So like,
a little less, like six, it's about 3 million
exactly.
less.
Yeah.
It's not some fantasy that it's going to undo the thing. I still know, even if we got rid of Trump today, we would still have Trump supporters. And that's, we would still have
and
that.
you'd have Pence.
Fox
and you'd
News.
have Pence.
Exactly.
It's not like you wouldn't have Pence, man.
Right.
They're not going to be like, oh, I guess Hillary won instead. That doesn't work that way.
You have the right that's going to be the right. And then the left is kind of fractured and there's a beating up left. And they teamed with the right to like fucking gangbang the only, sane people in the room on the day that the report came out. And so all of the coverage was total exoneration and stuff like that, despite the fact we're already ahead of it. People are already doing an I told you so, and I can't believe, and MSNBC needs to be taken off the air because of Rachel Maddow, something. It's like, you saw a 4-page summary of a report. It's incredible.
Well,
that could have happened so fast. And it wasn't even that good of it still said we don't exonerate him of obstruction of justice.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people too that would say like, that the obstruction of justice could only have happened, and this is crazy, if there was the investigation. And since the investigation was illegitimate, and it was illegitimate because they didn't find wrongdoing, that there was that.
Oh, that's a weird Ouroboros, isn't it?
But for real, I've heard that. Like, have you heard that? The argument is so crazy to me. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, it was obstruction of justice, but they never should have been asked those questions in the first place.
Well, because we all know, Tom, if a policeman knocks on our door and is like, we have reason to believe there's a body in your closet, and you know there's not a body in your closet, what you do is you punch that police officer and you take him out and you stop him and you break his legs because you can't, it's an invalid investigation. So you got to.
I just want to say, do not accept legal advice from a podcast. Whatever you do not.
If a police officer comes to my house and says, we have a warrant, and guess what? There's suspicion that there's a dead body in your freezer, I'll say, you're thinking of my friend Eli Bosnick. So if you want to search my freezer, feel free, because I think you got the wrong guy. I'm not going to stop you in any way. What I'm not going to do is set a fucking tripwire and try to, take him out on his way to the freezer.
But the problem with these guys is they feel like the conclusion drives the events that led to the conclusion. And it's such a crazy way to think. It's like the future determines the past.
Yeah.
And I like I think about that and I'm like, we can't live like that. We can't live any part of our life like that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't accept that in any other aspect of your life. Like there is no world where any other part of your life is determined by the conclusion that then determines what led to the conclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's only in this circumstance where we're like, well, yeah, but it never, I guarantee there's a guy I talk to at work all the time about these. I can't wait to talk to him, but I guarantee he's going to be like, the obstruction never should have happened. Not because they should have been truthful.
Yeah.
But the obstruction never should have happened because the investigation never should have happened.
I want to say though,
yes,
and this is something I want to talk about because like proving that Trump colluded beyond a reasonable doubt to a court was something that they said did not happen. They did not happen. They did not have enough to prosecute Trump specifically on that. But I want to say, like, they thought they were doing something wrong. They wouldn't have lied to the FBI if they didn't think if they thought they were doing something right. You don't lie to the FBI about meeting with Russians or, your past dealings with Russians. You don't do that if you think you did everything on the up and up, right? I'm not wrong. Am
totally.
I, Thomas?
I have a couple things to say on that. You're right. And there's two different ways of looking at it. One is it's possible that obstructing can prevent them from being able to prove the crime in the first place. And then it's like this get out of jail free card, according to the Republicans. Well, if you obstruct enough, then like there wasn't a crime, because you've gotten rid of the evidence. The example you bring up is like, if again, the police are knocking on my door and I flush a bunch of drugs, you never found the drugs, but like, so there was no crime. You didn't prove that there was a crime, but like the fact that I flushed them, that the obstruction caused that situation. It's not like, if you obstruct a little bit and fail, then you're in double trouble. But if you obstruct a bunch and are really good at it, then you're in no trouble. Like that's a backwards.
Hold on a minute. Can
and then
isn't it the case though that if you flush the drugs, then the drugs didn't exist anymore? Isn't that? Wait a minute. Like, isn't that true though?
All on the spot.
You got to tell me you're a cop, Thomas. You got to tell me.
Once you flush the drugs, what happens is then the drugs never work.
Look back in time.
No, you eat them all. If you do enough drugs, then what is anything really?
The drugs go back in time and kill their grandfather.
But there's another way of looking at it is even if you acknowledge that maybe there wasn't an original crime or whatever, like if you go with that argument, as you said, they were covering up something and it could be a political thing. So there may be totally, technically legal things, but really, really harmful political things that they were trying to cover
like
up.
Fucking a porn star, for example.
Or dealing with Russia. And just the weird Russia policy. And if they are lying, if they're breaking the law in order to cover up something, even if that thing is not illegal, that I would think if you ask that question in a vacuum, something like 95% of the public would be like, well, yeah, that's still a crime, obviously.
Yeah.
Like I would be surprised. But it's this way, like you mentioned, it's this way of having the conclusion already. And it goes both ways because in this case, they've decided that, Mueller report, all that investigation equals bad. So it doesn't matter what it happened. It's tainted. Going the other way, they've decided that Hillary is corrupt and evil. They are still calling for her to be investigated for the nothing that they already did.
Wait, what are they going to investigate? Hold on. What are they going to investigate her for, though?
They want to reopen the email thing. Like hold on.
Hold the fucking phone.
That was improperly investigated.
So they fucking bitch and moan constantly. We played clips of assholes last week complaining about how long it took and how much money it cost.
Yeah,
right?
we made money on it.
And then,
we did.
And then they're like,
we made money on it. Manafort's fucking ostrich jackets alone paid for the fucking thing. I'm telling you, we seized more in. I'm not even joking. We seized more in Manafort assets than it cost to do the investigation. And you know why? Yes. Because it's actually profitable to fucking investigate white collar crime, but we don't do it because white collar, crime, they're powerful. They have money, they bribe people, they whatever. There's so much money that this country leaves on the table because of bullshit with just not investigating stuff like that.
Okay, real quick, are those ostrich jackets available? Like, where can I get a link?
I know, is that like the police auction or whatever?
We're going to Goodwill.
I would
$8 for an ostrich jacket.
Fucking love to buy a Manafort ostrich jacket.
I want one, but with the ostrich still a lot, like it's part of the ostrich, so like it can
like
run.
I would actually put it on an ostrich. I would make it an
you can
ostrich
like whistle
jacket.
and be like, "Where's my jacket?" And you're like, do the whistle thing. I can't do that.
It's like a Tesla drives up to pick you up.
Yeah,
you just get right on it and take off.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't even know ostriches were cold enough to need jackets.
I named my ostrich Elon Musk.
I shot him into space.
Oh God. Emu Musk.
My fucking jacket has its head in the sand again. God damn it.
Just like 62 million Americans.
Oh, gosh. It's so sad.
But here's the conclusion, though, on the Mueller stuff that right now, obviously, we need to see the fucking report. Well, obviously.
Sure.
We could buy the Ken Starr report at a goddamn bookstore. It was the #1 selling book at the time about a blowjob.
Wait, so
we could buy
are
it.
you saying that the president didn't get a chance to redact that Ken Starr report before he sent it off? Are you
am saying
okay.
that, yeah. And in fact, I think they even didn't redact some of the
penis shots, the dick pics he sent her.
No, fortunately, this
back then you needed an artist, like a sketch artist.
Yeah, exactly.
Back then it was a Polaroid. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they had some Polaroids.
You need to get like a full-on photographer to come in. Like, no, you got to move a little forward.
Do you have anything smaller than a 35 millimeter lens? I don't need the whole lens, is what I'm saying. Just
the grand jury testimony stuff is the stuff that they have to redact some of it. And maybe there could also be some amount of state secret kind of, confidential, that kind of stuff. But
state secret, what is in that blowjob?
I know. No, in the Trump one. I mean, there could be,
What is in that blowjob?
Yeah. So anyway, we should be able to fucking see it. And what I think there will be is a lot of really, really embarrassing stuff. And it'll be stuff that hopefully won't get played off by the media, but we'll see. It might
100%, 62 million people don't care about it.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
I mean, do you think any of this, like, I want to ask you about the net effect of any of this. Like, all right, so there's people that are rational. They didn't vote for Trump. Let's just be honest, right?
Yeah.
They didn't vote for Trump. Nobody, it's just not true. Like, it's an emotional vote. You vote Trump, it's an emotional vote. It's an irrational thing to do. So those people
or you're in Florida and you voted for Jill Stein. That's another possibility.
I will
too.
stab those people and they'll deserve it.
And Eli could yell at them and they could cry.
I wasn't being mean. Why are you being mean to me?
There's not going to be any people that are gonna. I don't think it's not going to move. You don't think it's going to? I mean, do you think it's going to move anybody, Thomas?
I think if the report had something really bad that we just hadn't seen, like maybe Mueller uncovered something that he hadn't revealed, I think that would have moved some number of people. I think as it is, we have to see the report. I imagine the realm of possibility, I would say it's narrowed. I would say there's narrowed. The realm of possibility is narrowed a little bit. I don't think you're going to get anything that's going to result in impeachment or rather conviction. We might get articles of impeachment, but I just don't think we're going to get conviction in the Senate now. Maybe we would have if the report was just a bombshell.
It won't matter to the voters, though. It won't matter to the voters. Now we're in a place where it's going to require nuance and thinking. Like if the report had said yes or no, maybe, I still don't know that I agree with you, but maybe 10 people would have cared.
So are you saying that because the Senate would know that the voters don't care, they wouldn't bother convicting? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, the Senate there was never any hope that the Senate was going to convict. I don't think.
You don't think so? I think if there was something super bad, like if there's they coordinated with Russia and did treason stuff.
I still don't think
I think it was possible that it could have resulted in that. I would say that that window is probably close. I think there's some embarrassing stuff in there, I'm guessing, because again, Mueller said of what little we know, one of the things we do know that is quoted is that Mueller said he could not exonerate Trump of obstruction of justice, which means who knows what's in there. Maybe he got a witness to lie. Maybe he asked a witness to lie. Maybe who knows what it is. Could be embarrassing stuff. It could make some marginal difference, but no, I mean, overall, I was never of the opinion that all our hopes and dreams were on this report. What we needed to do is we need to fucking energize and vote and we should have already done it. We should have done it in 14. We should have done, like if we had won the Senate back in 14, we could have stopped the whole Merrick Garland nonsense, which is more consequential than anything
absolutely.
else. The Supreme Court is the thing now. Like everybody, like Congress is broken. The president can do a certain amount of stuff, but it can be undone by the next president. But the Supreme Court is decades of damage, and that's what matters. And we just have to.
That ship sailed. There's nothing you can do.
It did, yeah.
There's nothing you can do about
All we can do is stop the damage. All we can do is, I pray to not God, whatever. Just win an election so that poor 900-year-old justices
RBG
don't have to,
doesn't have another presidential term, I don't think, in her.
No, I don't think so either. So it's on us. I mean, it is really on the voters. And yes, we did win the last election by 3 million fucking votes, but we have a dumbass system where land gets a vote or something. So
Montana's like, fuck you, bitches. I rule. So I want to ask you, because we haven't spoken since a lot of these indictments have happened. What do you think of some of the sentencing that happened? Some of these people got very light sentences. Some of them got pretty major sentences. I know you cover this on your other show, Philosophers in Space. What do you think about these?
Yeah, I think that was one of the Dune episodes.
Steve Bannon is Baron Harkonnen, so that's for damn sure.
Yeah, his fucking skin is melting out. Did you see the one that was like Bill Barr looks like Steve Bannon after the Fab Five, got to him? The Queer Eye guys got to him. It's pretty funny. That was one of the things that did surprise me the most. I thought with some of the deals we saw, I want to say it was Gates, was like the deal where it really seemed like, okay, this guy's got somebody big. He's got a big fish, if he's getting this deal. I don't know. I mean, a lot of that is reading the tea leaves. We're not privy to everything. So it could be some combination of, in this country, we don't punish people guilty of stuff like this that much. We punish somebody who has a little bit of pot that we say they were definitely selling, so we put them in jail forever. But when people are doing, dastardly treason stuff, we just don't care that much, I guess. So it could be.
First of all, I want to have a law in the book just called dastardly treason.
Dastardly treason stuff.
Like that needs to be a thing.
It's probably
they have
there.
to laugh like.
Yeah, you have to prove intent, and you have to prove mustache twirl. There had to have been a mustache twirl, and then you have to get a witness to be like, I saw it.
Did you or did you not tie that legislation to the railroad tracks?
So it might be that. It might be, it might be some combination of the prosecutor wasn't going to go for that much, combined with, okay, they cooperated and they testified. They told us everything they knew, even if what they knew wasn't, Trump, Putin level.
And the judge, also for Manafort discarded some of the suggestions, because they had suggested a very hefty sentence and he came out with 4 years.
Yeah, that was nonsense. Now, of course, the next judge didn't do that. Fortunately, the next judge was like, well, fuck that shit. I'm going to actually sentence him.
7.5 now is the new one, right?
That's the thing. When you're Manafort and you're committing just as much crime as is physically possible, it's not just one judge. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you're like, the judge came back with a, good, pretty light sentence. I'm excited. All right. So you'll serve that sentence. And then oh no, I have like 5 or 6 more of these. I'm gonna fucking,
this is my first sentencing today. So I got 2 more on the schedule after my.
I'm actually doing one at lunch. I had to squeeze one in.
It's actually a North American tour. I get to go across different cities and get sentenced in different cities.
Let's
and
not get
states.
crazy.
It's
I can
fun.
only go as far as the ankle bracelet will let me. So, you know.
I'm curious to see what happens with Roger Stone because he's really made a friend with that judge.
Roger Stone is such a clown. God, it's such a clown.
Nothing in the world would make me happier than to think about him with his fucking Nixon tattoo showering in prison.
The shit he did too is like intimidating witnesses and like who do you intimidate and why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why when it comes to this, you know, like no collusion thing, you're like, okay, maybe, but like, who was he intimidating and why?
Right.
You know,
Manafort could not stop tampering with witnesses.
Yeah.
Like they asked pretty. I was gonna say they asked nicely, and then they asked pretty, you know, like harshly, and they still did it. It's and yet he lived an otherwise blameless life. Like Judge, I think it was Judge Ellis or whatever. It's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. But you know, that was an anomaly. And it's, you know, he got more after that. And I don't know. We'll find out more as the report comes. But yeah, that was confusing to me. It was another reason that people thought, you know, there's a big fish somewhere, you know, on the line that we're going to catch. But, you know, and it wasn't unreasonable to think that, you know, that's another one of these little ingredients and little reasons why it was not unreasonable to be looking at the evidence and being like, we should investigate. As you said, you know, like I'm pretty suspicious of this weird Republican platform change to, by the way, it's not as though Republicans throughout history were like the always Russia-friendly party.
No shit.
You know? It would have been one thing if it was Democrats. You know, you could be like, oh, those softies, they've always been for peace.
They're all
like a bunch
pinkos.
of libtards. Yeah. But like Reagan and shit, you know, like I'm pretty sure Rocky, what is it? Four?
Rocky
one
Four.
of them. Like that was the whole point
back
of that
to
movie.
Rocky to figure out our political situation.
Yeah. And like,
but that was the Democrats
party that
beating
was,
up the Republicans because that was a black guy. I remember that was right.
He got beat up by the Russians.
Oh, he did,
and he died. He got killed.
Yeah, he got killed.
He got punched so hard he died. Tom,
really?
Yeah, he got punched so hard he died. Yeah.
Yep. That's the Democrat Party.
He got punched to
Democrats,
death by the Russians, like we did in 2016. That movie's real, Tom.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. Also, aren't there like 4 sealed indictments still? Like, aren't there still indictments that they haven't uncovered? I know there's not going to be any more.
Not in the Mueller, Mueller indictment. So, but there could be any number of, and we know there are sealed indictments in other jurisdictions that have been handed off. And I think Mueller was I think he was pretty shrewd in this. He didn't try to do anything. Where's Ken fucking Stark? That joke. That guy is a Christian fundamentalist who got in there, was supposed to investigate Whitewater, which, okay, there was a little bit of, you know, there was like 2 indictments relating to Whitewater. They had nothing. They weren't the Clintons, by the way. They weren't the Clintons. They indicted some other people for some stuff. Okay, cool. A little bit of corruption there. That Whitewater investigation took 100 fucking years, and he felt
it's the 100-year indictment.
Comfortable to investigate the entire presidency and land on a presidential blowjob, like, and just all this shit related to that. He thought he had whatever authority he wanted to do anything. Whereas Mueller is not Ken Starr. You know, Mueller, he's a Republican, but he's one of the good ones. Like, if there are more Muellers, you know, your show wouldn't be as funny. You know, it wouldn't be. if the Republican Party was all Muellers, there would be way less comedy on your show. And actually, now that I think about it, it's a tough trade-off. I don't know. I'm not sure which is better. But no, he's reasonable. Anything that wasn't directly related to his specific mandate, which was Trump Russia or collusion relating to it, or obstruction relating to it, he handed off.
Right.
And I think that was really smart. And so we're going to see a lot of other stuff you know, come into the public spotlight soon-ish, but it takes time.
Do you like to fuck? Well, the guys at Cognitive Dissonance want to help you out. It doesn't matter if you fuck yourself, someone else, or lots of someone else's. Their sponsor, AdamandEve.com, has all kinds of things to make fucking more interesting and more fun. Right now at AdamandEve.com, if you type in Glory at checkout, you get 50% off almost any item, a free sex swing, and free shipping. AdamandEve.com. Treat your genitals to a good time.
Fox News recently had a segment on their show. And they wound up referring to El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras as Mexican countries.
Well, can you bring it up? It's actually, the best part is it's like they did it in writing. They did it in writing. So it's not like it's like somebody just like made a mistake when trying to like refer to Spanish speaking countries.
Right.
It's in writing. In writing at the bottom of their ticker.
It's a third. It's a lower third. Yeah.
It says like 3 Mexican countries, none of which were Mexico. And my favorite part is none of those were Mexico.
It wasn't Mexico, West Mexico, and like
South Mexico.
Little Mexico. There's that.
Gosh, that's amazing.
New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And here's there's so many levels of this, but you ever watch stuff now, and now that I'm a little younger than you guys, but like my process of learning more about the world was a series of like, oh, when I was a kid, I thought adults were smart. Like I thought, back when I was a kid, if I was, like in 7th grade and I saw this shit, I'd be like, oh, so this channel is going to end then. Like there won't be, we've got them, guys. This is like the pulling the mask off, the Scooby-Doo thing, and then Fox News is like, you got me, you meddling kids,
these meddling kids,
yeah, exactly. And then the Fox News would be taken off the air. But no, it just continues. And not only that, it's even worse because this is Trump's #1 intelligence source.
I know.
Fox and Friends has replaced the Daily Briefing, which is, by the way, Trump has access to the best information maybe in the world on some of this stuff. It's not always perfect, but it's going to be, in terms of foggy intelligence questions that are hard to ascertain sometimes, he's going to have what's probably the best answers possible. And yet instead he's getting the daily Fox and Friends briefing. And when somebody works for Fox and Friends,
true.
I do too.
I know.
You said that and I looked up at Cecil and just shook my head like that is legitimately true. That he's the president of the United States is like, what's on TV that I should know?
He sleeps until like noon and then watches his DVR of Fox and Friends in the morning.
There's nothing that's as depressing to me as how fucking stupid this administration is relative to even George fucking W. Bush.
Yeah.
It's unreal. I recently read Michelle Obama's memoir, which I really recommend. It's better. By the way, it's better than Barack Obama's books. I'm going to say her book's actually really good. And when you read it and you read, some of the thinking and their story and what was going on, and you just contrast that with Trump talking for any segment of him talking, just any random clip of him talking. Oh, they believe in wind power, so if the wind's not blowing, you won't be able to turn on your TV.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You guys never heard of a battery in his life.
Did you hear what he said about electric cars too? He was speaking in Michigan to a rally about electric cars, and he's like, he's misrepresenting the Green New Deal, saying they're going to only let you have 1 car per household. And there's like electric cars, they only get like 160 miles range. And then like, darling, would you charge the car? He says as if that's ridiculous. And it's like, well they already get more than, they get 300 plus on certain Teslas. But like,
why
is that weirder
right
than
now
filling
you
your
say,
car with
hey,
gas?
did you put gas in the car?
Right.
It's the same fucking thing.
And then I was like, it's because he doesn't put gas in his car.
Right. Yeah.
I know.
It's like, I mean, it was like,
he doesn't know they run on gas.
That whole thing seems ridiculous.
They run on Saudi magic.
Just like
he has no idea. It's like the Arrested Development. How much could a banana cost? $10. It's that. He has no idea.
It's always funny in the banana stand. You know what makes me laugh about this is it makes me wonder, like we dumb Americans could probably cut the entire map, the globe, down to about 10 countries. We could be like, all of those, like everything in Asia is China. There's a little bit of Russia in there. Russia extends a little farther. Then there's like, what would you call Europe? You'd just be like Brits or something.
Well, imagine if
then all of Africa is just Africa.
We forget South America completely.
No, everything below is Mexico. It's Mexico. It's just Mexico all the way down.
Well, it'd be
Egypt is
Island,
like
Mexico.
in Iraq and stuff. Imagine if somebody had said like, oh, the United States, England, and Ireland, those 3 Canadian countries. I was like, what?
How wonderful to like write your racism down and like put it on TV and then later have to be like, Our graphic was inaccurate. Like your graphic wasn't inaccurate.
No, your graphic was exact because you're just like all brown people are the same.
Yeah,
that's what you meant to say.
Your graphic was incredibly accurate.
Yeah, it's like, yes, it's a mistake, but it's a revealing mistake. You know, there's a reason you called them 3 Mexican countries. It's not 3 Mexican.
You can't have a Mexican country that's not Mexico. It's like the words themselves are impossible to have gotten right.
God, it's so good. It's so good.
It's like they mislabeled the 3 Mexican countries.
It is tasty.
These people are not freaking humans, okay? Hillary Clinton is a goddamn demon. Excuse me, taking a word. Stop taking it in vain. She is a demon damned to hell.
So this is circling back, Thomas, to the Mueller report. This is Stefan Molyneux.
Oh, my God.
The Mueller report investigation was secretly about immigration, and that sort of links directly to the Mexican countries immigrating here.
What is the purpose of the collusion? Well, I mean, there's a number of obvious things, right? So the obvious thing is that they can't accept that they lost. They can't accept, why did they lose? Well, because, I mean, Hillary's, to me, crimes and lying about Benghazi.
What the fuck does that have anything to do with anything?
Well, I think he's saying that's why she lost.
Remember when we lost by negative 3 million votes? God, that was rough.
Remember when they scored in their own goal?
Because there was a fucking compromise for the slaveholding states to have more power, and so we have this dumbass fucking electoral college. We won by 3 million votes. God.
Did Hillary lie about Benghazi? Was there lying about Benghazi?
Dude, there were no indictments related. It's not like Benghazi is even less criminal than Whitewater. Like they investigated forever and there were no indictments. Yeah. And they wanted to find indictments. Believe me, they could have if you know. It's not like they were big fans.
We're gonna go no on
Comey
that? We're gonna go no.
To me, crimes and lying about Benghazi and the fact that her husband is a sexual predator. And
wait a minute, are we worried about sexual predators now?
Yeah,
I do agree on that. I do agree that her husband is a sexual predator. That's something that, you know, we maybe don't count against her because she's her own person. But he's right that her husband is a sexual predator.
But how can you be a Trump supporter and be like, well, I got a problem with sexual predators.
Well, that's the problem is when they're not on your side.
I keep forgetting that it only counts when it's
literally
not
only
me.
counts. And the thing is like, don't kid yourself. These people's fucking knickers would be such in a twist if any of that stuff was on the other side. If anybody met, if any single Russian met with any, they would flip the fuck out.
Right.
I have to say, and I hope we can do this. If you're a fellow Democrat like me, everybody, we never have to listen to these fucking assholes again. Republicans, we never have to listen to them again. Never. When we get president, whoever, it'll be fucking Buttigieg or whatever in 2020, and there's some minor fucking thing. He wears a tan suit or he does some bullshit, you know, nothing. And the Fox News does wall-to-wall coverage. What we can do is we can tell them to shove it up their fucking asses because they nominated and elected Donald Trump and did not care. And they showed that they don't care. And they don't fucking care about any of that. And we don't have to either, forever.
Well, maybe this is a blessing because now, like, whatever happens, like, we can be like, you didn't care. Like, he's done all of the things in a row. Like, maybe that's the whole gig here is like, now we've laid a groundwork that's unassailable.
Yeah, but then it's like everybody's going to race to the bottom. And I don't know that I like that.
Well, we can listen to each other. So we can listen as Democrats. We can listen to each other's criticism of Democrats. I will happily listen to some good, and then, believe me, we have plenty to go around. Democrats are really good at criticizing each other. We just don't have to listen to them because they're not in the world. Their facts are not from, they're just not. And they don't care. Anyway, but I love that. Okay, so Molyneux is laying out, these are like the obvious reasons, which are all bullshit, but these are the obvious ones. And then he's about to go galaxy brain. So he's getting...
All right, here we go. Here we go.
You name it. I mean, this is all unsavory things about it. The fact that she barely had press conferences, the fact that she didn't campaign, the fact that she called a quarter of Americans racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, deplorables, you know, doesn't really help you get.
Yeah, well, she didn't need them. She had plenty of votes, just in the wrong spots.
Right.
Yeah, and we all know that Trump was very magnanimous to Democrats. He was great. He never would say a wrong word at all about Democrats. It's just because she said they're deplorables that ruined everything.
I have to admit, I'm amazed she got 65 million votes without campaigning. Like, I just think that's amazing.
Yeah, she played a lot of Fortnite or something. She was just like hanging out. Oh, how's the campaign going, everybody?
I was going to say, you should see her floss. It's amazing.
She's flossing like crazy.
Fucking throw a hip out.
The old votey votes now does it. So the fact that she lost came as a huge shock, and this is why the crackdown on social media is going on at the moment, because it doesn't take a brain surgeon to recognize the relationship between social media.
Ben Carson removed any ability for us to say, oh, it's a brain surgeon. No, never mind. It turns out being a brain surgeon now we can still use rocket scientists. That's a good thing. I don't think anyone has ruined rocket scientists yet.
Well, what about Rick Perry?
He is quite literally not a rocket scientist.
He has glasses now, though, so he could be.
Although that he's got a pocket protector and glasses.
He's brilliant. He just buys a calculator and shows it to people.
It's like 100 IQ points. Like,
I got his calculator watch, so that's something nerds have.
What's funny is if Rick Perry was replaced by a rocket scientist, it would make a lot of sense because that's a type of person who would be in that position.
Yeah, right?
But, we're in the Trump administration where you just fucking throw a dart and whoever it hits is now fucking a Secretary of Energy.
Do you know the guy that Rick Perry replaced? I'm blanking on his name, but he's like
he's like a nuclear physicist.
Yeah,
he was
Nobel Prize
winning physicist, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's amazing.
That guy.
Anyway, yeah.
Nobody's gonna remember you, buddy.
And elections, and I mean that's one of the reasons I think why the midterms went the other way. Well, that's a whole other story, but. So they were deeply shocked and they needed to find a scapegoat. They needed someone to blame who wasn't themselves. Now, the reason why is that when you lose an election, I don't just mean Hillary, but I mean the party, the Democrats as a whole. When you lose an election, it's if you're even remotely interested in democracy, you have a soul searching. You say, well, what did we miss? What did we not? What issues did we not address?
Well, we know
what
we missed. We missed Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Florida. We know we missed. I mean, like, it's pretty easy. They actually shade those out. Like, when you look at CNN, they're different color. They're red. That we know what we missed.
But the left, the Democrats, they can't address concerns about immigration because immigration is their path to gaining and maintaining power ad infinitum. Well, at least until immigration produces the inevitable collapse, right? Because everyone's in debt and immigrants cost massive amounts of money.
What the fuck? Where did that come from?
You'd have to watch several Molyneux videos to get to that. And I'm going to warn you, I'm not joking here. It's because Molyneux thinks he's a super genius with a high IQ and that white people are super geniuses with high IQs in general and that darker people have lower IQs. And therefore, when you let him into your country collapses. This is literally what he thinks. I'm not.
Holy shit! He's Mormon.
Idiot. He's the worst. Oh man.
No, he's president.
So the one issue that got Trump elected is the one issue the left can't touch.
White anger. White anger and white privilege.
So they couldn't sit there and say, wow, we really missed the boat on immigration. We better start looking about reducing immigration as everyone's desperate for us to do. They can't do that because they're relying on immigration. So they had to create some other story as to why they lost.
When you look at like what people care about, like the poll, like they don't, immigration is not high on the list.
It's never high on the list.
It has not been high on that list for a fucking really long time.
You know what number one on the list all the time is economics.
Yeah.
It's number one almost all the time. And if it's not economics, it's economic related in the sense it's talking about like healthcare or other things. But those are deeply entwined with our economic system. Right. So that's why they're number one and number two on the list.
And what's also funny about kind of related to that is the people who are afraid of and hate immigrants are none of the border states. Like it's not right. Like the people who live closest to the border are like, no, yeah, whatever, it's fine. It's people in the fucking whitest of white. Like
Minnesota,
states
right?
Where this issue isn't even touching them. There aren't even any immigrants who live in their fucking white little rural towns, and they're deathly
it's some
terrified.
Guy in North Dakota and some fucking stay-at-home mom in Minnesota. Yeah. Like they're gonna take my job. Like no one's gonna come and fold your laundry.
Actually, you're a stay-at-home mom. You could hire a cheap nanny. Like that's possible. Right?
And why they lost was Russia collusion. Like so there's this cover story, and then that's all I think, perfectly comprehensible. But there's something related to this that's even more foundational.
Oh, galaxy brain.
Here it comes. Thomas has queued it up for us.
The left was terrified that Trump would do something to control immigration. Now, illegal immigration is part of their strategy, but they were terrified that Trump would do something to reduce even legal immigration and do something to control illegal immigration. And so because they were terrified of that,
I just want to point out though too, that, illegal immigration is part of a lot of businesses' strategies. Yeah. It's not, I think it probably crosses.
And I'll tell you what, it's part of a lot of fucking Republican businessmen strategies, including Donald fucking Trump.
Yeah, I guess that's true, right? Can he not pay them too? Can he like, is there any way that he can like not pay those contractors?
Everybody out of everything. Yeah. Fortunately, he's not in charge of like, you know, they have to do payroll, but short of that, he'll screw everybody else out of everything.
There's a super conservative Republican named Jim Oberweis that's local here who's run a number of times. And like Oberweis is a dairy that like they sell like Oberweis milk and they have their own like ice cream stores and stuff all over the place here. And it cracks me up because like the dairy industry is one of those industries that relies almost exclusively on immigrant and migrant labor to do most of the work on a dairy farm. It's like you're pointing out, it's like that. And like your meat packing plants and your it's like, those are.
Well, yes. Plus this fucking moron thinks that he's just said that Democrats also want more illegal immigrants. Do you know, first off, illegal immigrants can't fucking vote. Why would that do anything for us? We don't want illegal immigrants. We just want you to not mistreat people who are here.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not like Democrats are over there trying to get more illegal immigrants into the country. That's not how it works.
Or specifically mistreat asylum seekers. That's where I'm fucking appalled.
Too, yeah.
You know, when people come to the border and they're seeking asylum because their places where they live are so horrible because we've installed dictators and fucking sent our gangs there. Like it's just like, oh yeah, you know what we should do? Let's put those people, let's just let them fucking start a tent city on the other side. That's what we should do.
And time is on their side. All they have to do is maintain the status quo. And within 1 or 2 election cycles, the Republican Party is dead. The Republic is dead.
White people will be gone.
Oh, what? I'm looking at my hands, guys. I'm disappearing like the Back to the Future picture. Fuck. White people are disappearing.
Right. So this is really important to understand. The numbers are shifting so far in favor of the left. And this is why the left, I mean, if illegal immigrants voted for Republicans, you would, I mean, the left would have already built a wall visible from space, right? So
if illegal immigrants voted,
they can't vote, you fucking moron.
Jesus Christ, are you kidding me?
This guy thinks he's smarter than everybody in the fucking world. It's so pathetic and frustrating because he's so fucking dumb. Sorry, go ahead. He still hasn't gotten to his main fucking dumb thesis that makes no sense and is wrong. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
They know time's on their side. All they need to do is stall any Republican capacity to control immigration or reduce immigration or reverse immigration in terms of illegal immigration, right? Not necessarily deporting people, but...
Well, then how else would you reverse illegal immigration if you're not deporting people? Like, well, I don't know. What you should do is you investigate it and then conclude that there isn't any illegal immigration. And that will go back in the past. And there we go.
And then you
making it so hard to hire them and cutting off benefits and so on to the point where there's people leave of their own accord. And so because time is on their side, the Russia collusion investigation is a foundational tool to paralyze the Trump administration as more and more people come pouring into America who are going to reliably vote for the left.
That's Stefan Molyneux, fucking brain genius. That's his thesis. There's a little problem with this, or there are several problems. One, that's not how anything fucking works. That's it. That's it. Never mind. That's the only problem. That's not how anything fucking works. Here's how it works. Trump, God, the Russia investigation, it was launched by Republicans. It's fucking, what's his name? The deputy attorney general. I'm so mad that I'm blanking on his name. You know, the guy.
Rosenstein?
The deputy. Rosenstein. Yeah. Rod Rosenstein, Republican. Fucking Bob Mueller, Republican. Everybody involved, Republicans. It's Republicans. And even if you want to say like they're centrist, fine, but they're not people who are like their goal is some global domination of illegal immigrants. Not only that, Name one fucking way that the investigation in any way stopped Trump from exercising his power to curb immigration. So here's how it works. There's a number of things Trump can do to stop immigration. There's a number of things he can do in the executive branch, and he did them. He is doing them. The only thing that stopped him is his own fucking incompetence. He was so bad at his job, and he is surrounded by people that are so bad at their jobs, that they, actually, it's kind of his job. Anyway, that they were unable to write the Muslim ban. It took them like 3 fucking tries to get it right because they're so fucking stupid. Eventually they did, because the president does have the right to do that. As sickening as that policy has been, it's actually is within the president's power to do, according to pretty much any mainstream reading of the law. But they were so bad at it, they fucked it up. But they did it. They have cut refugee admittance more than any time. Lowest number in 40 years. Lowest number of refugees. But here's the thing. Immigration policy, just like the bulk actual legal immigration policy, would take an act of Congress, which they controlled for 2 fucking years. The Republicans controlled all 3 branches for 2 years, and they didn't do it. You know why? Because it's fucking stupid. It's so stupid that even Republicans are like, no, we're not going to.
They couldn't even repeal and replace.
I know.
Like the Republicans had everything, like you say, they couldn't even repeal and replace. They can't. They
could have built a wall. They didn't. They could have done any number of things, but they didn't, because the policies are stupid. And there are enough Republicans in Congress who know, like they're evil and I don't like them, but there are enough of them who are like, a wall? That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of. I'm not going to spend billions of dollars on a nothing policy. They could have done it. It is so weird. They the whole standoff that Trump did over the wall funding, they only did after Democrats took control of the House. They didn't need to do that. They had the power to do it the whole time. It has nothing to do with the Russia investigation. The only thing, the Russia investigation, by the way, led by fucking Republicans, the only thing that has done is resulted in some indictments that, as we already have gone through, of some Russian companies and obviously some Americans. It has nothing to do with stopping immigration. Any time in those 2 years, they could have written a bill. Republicans could have written a bill doing the dumb bullshit that brain genius Steph Molyneux wants them to do, and Trump could have signed it at any time.
Yeah.
It has nothing. So this fucking high IQ super genius has no fucking idea how anything works.
So Thomas, we know that you cover a lot of stuff like this on opening arguments, but you have a bunch of other shows that you do. Tell us about your other shows.
Oh, sure. I have Serious Inquiries Only. That was atheistically speaking, but now is more general. It's not, I talk a little bit about it.
It's still atheistically speaking in my heart, though.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, your grandfather did. Like Eli still sends stuff to the wrong email and stuff, but it's okay. I get it. That's fine. I get it. No problem. That's mainly been, me kind of waxing philosophical about kind of social justice type stuff and certain things that I think I see things in a certain lens that, a lot of people don't agree with and some people do. And so I try to make my case on stuff like that. But I'm really excited about Philosophers in Space. I think I've mentioned it before, but it's a really fun show. It's not political. It's just, we're using sci-fi and other works like that to discuss philosophy in an interesting way. With Aaron Rabinowitz over there on the show. And, we do cover stuff like Rick and Morty. We cover, as I said, Dune, because Aaron's a huge Dune fan. And lots of other stuff. It's a ton of fun. It's always interesting. It's always, we might fanboy out on some of the stuff we love, or I might make fun of superhero movies because I am the real intellectual dark web. Because I am someone who doesn't fucking like those movies, and therefore I am the one being silenced. Please pledge to my Patreon.
Just tell everybody about it on Gab. Just go to Gab, tell everybody about it, post it to
these intellectual dark web cowards have not walked a day in my superhero movie disliking shoes. That's all I have to say. And then I got Comedy Shoe Shine, which is just, doing random comic observations and stuff that is always fun.
Well, if people were going to find your stuff, is there like one place that they could go? Could they just like go to like one Twitter account or one?
Yeah, the internet.
Oh, okay.
Go to the.internet.com.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put our links to all those shows on this week's show notes. Thomas, you are always fun to have on our show. Thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast talking to you.
Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you.
So we want to thank our guests. We're not going to thank our patrons this week because we are both traveling this weekend. So we had to record a little early. And so if you're wondering if some bombshell dropped with the Mueller report, we missed it. That's because we've been recording. We recorded on Sunday night for this show, the previous Sunday. So that's why it may not be 100% up to date. But we want to thank Thomas Smith, who's on a myriad of podcasts, Opening Arguments, Comedy Shoeshine, Serious Inquiries Only, and Philosophers in Space. He's a great guy. He's a friend of the show. He's been on the show many times. Check out all his work. It's going to be on this week's show notes. This is episode 464. Check out all his stuff. He's a great guy, and he puts out amazing work. His work is all excellent. So check it all out. If you missed our live stream, go check it out. It happened last week, but you can go check it out. It happened on Sunday last week. We had a great time. You can check it out on YouTube, Twitch, and on Facebook and Twitter. That's going to wrap it up for this week. We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi-alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, water downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death in towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.